Go for it, Chris.
I can tell from the camera, I'm putting on that comfortable winter weight. How's everybody else doing today? Hi, wife. Welcome to the Inside All Day podcast, everyone else, where, today we're going to have fun as always. I'm player 2, joined as always by player 1. I'm Chris. This is my lovely wife, Nadia.
Hello. Oh, there I am.
The real talent. And today we're going to talk about Three Amigos, a little bit of Thanksgiving, and what were you thankful for this year? Ooh, she wasn't ready for it.
Why did you put me on the spot for that?
Spot.
What am I thankful for? That's a good question.
This is easy.
You, of course.
Oh, see, look, there you go. It's perfect.
You, my family, of course. I'm non-materialistic things. How about that?
Hey, that's not a bad answer at all.
What about you?
Me personally,
you're Nintendo
I
Switch?
am thankful for the 1986 classic that is Three Amigos.
Yeah.
You didn't see that one coming, did you?
No, not at all.
No, I mean, it's been a relatively good year. I'm thankful for this awesome studio to record in. I'm thankful for this great wife to podcast with. And God bless us all here to what I like to refer to as the sprint to the end of the year. Once you get through Thanksgiving, it's a sprint to the end of the year.
I am thankful if you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on Inside All Day podcast for all future episodes of everything we've got going on the channel.
Hey, you know what? While you're doing it, don't forget to comment and let us know what you're thankful for.
Yes. How was your Thanksgiving?
Eventful, non-eventful, all of the above. Well, I think you were there, so you know pretty well how it went.
I was in and out. I had the flu.
Unlike the burger joint, you were still also in and out.
Yeah.
But she was sick. I got to do the cooking. And partially what led us really to Three Amigos is an excellent choice. I know last time we did True Lies. That's one of my favorite sick movies. Three Amigos. It's another one of my favorite sick movies.
Well, the deal is for the rest of this year, especially since December is your birthday month, you were going to choose the last two movies. Last couple of movies we're going to be reviewing for the year. So that was the deal. Happy
so it's
birthday.
all my fault. You're all welcome.
I did also, during Thanksgiving, in and out of sickness, binge the entire series of the Blue-Eyed Samurai yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
10 out of 10. Would 100% recommend.
10 out of 10 animated anime boobies?
Yeah, not what a lot of anime boobies.
A lot of anime boobies. And I was just popping in and out of you watching that. And I was like, titty here, titty there.
Yeah. I would highly recommend it. Not what I expected it to be about. Like, no, and a lot of twists and turns in the story. Highly recommend.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I nailed it.
I mean, you knew the big secret, but you didn't know how it got to that point and stuff like that. It wasn't just like, oh, let's just switch this to be, I don't want to ruin it for people.
Don't ruin it for people.
But
I guess what Nadia is trying to say is you should go check out the Blue Samurai.
Yes, Blue-Eyed Samurai.
Blue-Eyed Samurai. My apologies.
Other than that, I watched also the first episode of A Murder at the End of the World. And it's a very slow burn.
Sure.
It has my attention. From other people who have seen a couple more episodes in, they said it's very slow, but it's entertainment. But it's the same people who did the series for Netflix, OA. And that is a weird series too. So I think I'm going to be a little hooked watching
Hooked
this.
on phonics is going to work for you?
It's too slow for you.
Yep.
It is. Like
Captain
most things.
ADHD.
That's true.
Ooh,
but
shiny.
Anyway.
What? Ooh, shiny. Where?
So
shiny there.
So we watched Three Amigos today. For the first time for me. First watch for me.
Mm-hmm.
And 100th watch for you?
No, not 100th watch. But I mean, it's one of those movies that I grew up with. It was on Comedy Central all of the time. And I just never hated rewatching bits or parts or all of that movie because it's just kind of generally a lighthearted good time. For those of you who can see it, which is absolutely nobody because I forgot to bring the DVD with me today. This is the 1986 Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin short film where they play actors in the year, what was it? Was it 1916? There it is. I wrote it down. Leave an underline for myself for later.
Based off an SNL skit, right?
Well, no, this one's not. A lot of the other movies when we were looking at like Lorne Michaels.
Lorne Michaels who produced it.
Yeah,
yes.
we were looking at the rest of his
Tommy
movies
Boy
and there's a
stuff.
lot of obviously Saturday Night Live movies in there.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes place in 1916 with those three playing, what look to be failed silent actors. And they get thrown out of Hollywood, and wouldn't you know it, in the lucky brink of time, they get sent a missive asking them to come down to Mexico and put on a show or save them. They're not quite sure. And here we are. And it's just it's a good time. So it opens with, how did you feel about, first off, the singing opener of them singing Three Amigos?
So I was expecting a movie that could not be made today, similar to Blazing Saddles.
You were expecting a not modern
Saddles.
days Tropical Thunder?
Yes. Which, watching this movie, I completely different than what I was expecting. Still enjoyable. It's pretty funny. Yes, the opening where they're all hitting the high notes.
Amigos. Yeah, I can't do it at all. There's my awful falsetto for you, internet.
I also liked the costumes.
Yes. Well, the costumes, we talked about this a lot. The costumes and the sets. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We're kind of talking about generalities here, but
yes. Well, I mean, their costumes were in the opening too, as well.
But it's just kind of nice to see the
detail.
effort.
No, the detail in these costumes throughout the whole movie is better than Westworld Western costumes. Like, everything has texture to it. They aged it. It doesn't look pressed or clean.
The appropriate level of dirty.
There's a scene further down in the movie where, what's the bad guy?
El Guapo.
El Guapo's going through his guys and saying like, hey, you and I, we did this. And every time he hits them, you see dust like fly off of them. So they're like covered in dirt and it's refreshing to see so much attention to detail when it comes to these costumes. And I didn't realize that the Three Amigos, they were different costumes.
It took you a decent amount of time.
I was like, wait a minute.
It was the sombreros that caught you first.
Yeah. One different according to their names and stuff. It was I liked it. I liked it a lot. Very sparkly, their costumes too.
Well, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that singing opener, the outstanding. Opens in Mexico in 1916. You see a young woman from Santa Poco who is arriving at a bar to find herself what some might call an adventurer. I'm looking at you, 5E crowd, and others might call just a hero to help out their small town, to help save them from, as we've discussed, the fearsome El Guapo and his banditos.
What does that mean in Spanish?
The handsome one.
Yeah, banditos.
Soy El Guapo.
Banditos. My mom, man.
You gonna tell that story?
Sure, why not?
So there we were, surrounded by banditos.
Dead. It doesn't matter. It's okay. she can't get canceled now.
Yeah, just blame it all on her.
When we were driving from Chicago to Los Angeles, when I was going to special effects school in LA, we went during that really bad, I mean, there's been a couple bad blizzards, but there was that really, really bad one around late 2000s, 2010. I can't remember. But it's where, do you remember in Chicago where the whole Lakeshore Drive froze over?
Was that the polar vortex you're thinking of?
Not the polar vortex, but it was a couple of years.
Vortex.
Yeah. It was really, really bad storm.
Because we were together for the polar vortex.
And we were traveling south. We were going south because we're thinking, okay, south is usually warmer. We'll go through. It was so bad that some of these states had their hotels closed down because the storm was hitting them so bad that their pipes were freezing. They had black ice on the roads.
They weren't prepared.
Or set up
they
weren't
prepared.
prepared.
Like that. Yeah.
So I think we were in New Mexico. My mom had this bright idea of, okay, so all of these hotels have, broken pipes. We can't. So let's spend a day going all the way down to the border and then going over, because it'll be warmer there, less likely the storm hit there, and we'll go over. Roads will be fine.
Well, sure. You don't have to worry about weather conditions. Is there anything you do have to worry about if you go south?
So we spent, mind you, I'm already like 4 days late for school already. We get to the southern part and I'm like, okay, we'll drive through the night. We'll get to at least halfway into Arizona and then one more day of travel to LA. My mom goes, no, we have to stop. We have to stop somewhere. We can't travel at night. I'm like, Mom, why do we have to? The banditos. I'm like, what are you talking about, banditos?
You're the border. You gotta be careful of the banditos.
She had even my godmother, who's also dead right now too, so she can't be canceled. She had my godmother call me and tell me, no, you have to stop. You listen to your mom so you guys don't get kidnapped by banditos. Because it was me and my sister and my mom at the time, 3 women traveling by themselves. So
and potentially banditos.
And banditos. We never crossed over to banditos. So
hey, do me a favor. Say banditos just one more time.
Banditos.
Perfect. Nailed it.
Well, I can't cancel me either. My stepmom's from Mexico.
And
I have siblings.
They'll try. Don't worry.
But yes, banditos. And then what was the big baddie's name? I can't even.
El Guapo.
El Guapo, which means handsome. Which I was actually expecting.
Should be easy to remember. I'm right here.
Handsome guy. And
of course not. His nickname is El Guapo. You call the big guy shorty. You call the guy missing his right hand lefty. Things like that.
It was interesting too. As a makeup artist, I was paying attention. Everybody had like darkened teeth and stuff.
Yeah, grime in their teeth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if you look at modern day Westerns, people have like super clean teeth and stuff. The
Or even John Wayne.
what's his name from American Gods? The old guy, Ian.
Ian McShane.
Who always has like the whitest teeth ever on anything he does.
What would you expect of Odin?
I mean, I could probably see him from across this. He'd be one of the bright lights on the strip. But yes.
We've made it about 2 seconds in this movie.
And we talked about
Bandita's
story. Yes.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Yes. Okay. And
so getting back, so we have a young lady by the name of Carmen who arrives at this town. I believe we end up later finding out that is it Diablo?
I think
Diablo,
they called
Mexico,
it,
is what they called the
something
town?
like that.
And they stop at, I believe the name of the cantina translates to like the bar of the drunks. And she goes in there to try and find her hero, where of course she finds nothing but a bunch of, low down, cattle rustling, I don't know what else, cowboy insults. And
rough and tough.
Yeah,
a lot of high tea in there.
Yeah, one of them tries to get a little frisky with her. She decides to leave, having found no one of value, no one of help to help them in their battle against El Guapo for their village.
Yeah, that guy didn't know anything about modern day consent.
Consent? Yeah.
Thank you, consent.
Nailed it.
Thank you. I thought I was saying something else there.
Yeah.
Woo.
I don't know what you thought you were saying, but you seem worried, so I'm gonna hope that we're all good here. But so she leaves. As soon as she's leaving, timing of timings, the church bell's ringing, right?
Yeah.
And then of course she goes to see. Well, what's this? Is this a newsreel? No, she thinks it's a newsreel.
It's a silent movie.
It's a silent movie. It's our three heroes dressed up as Lucky Day, played by Steve Martin, Dusty Bottoms, played by
Chevy Chase,
and Ned Niederlander.
Yes.
I like that I can tell you have the IMDb pulled up, and I'm pulling.
No, I'm not. I have my notes. Yeah.
She has notes pulled up. I didn't write.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I did write some. It's the next page.
I don't have that many notes. I just have like random words like buttercup. Dusty Bottoms with tacos, like stuff like that.
The taco seems great.
So she
sees them save the day.
Yes,
right.
And she sends them a little, what are they called? The little
telegraph.
Ding, 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 telegraph, where she can't afford the whole telegraph, so he has to go in there and edit out words.
Yes.
And infamous turns into infamous.
Yeah. Well, what does infamous mean? Oh, it's infamous. It means more famous.
They're infamous. Yes.
So of course they decide to go to Mexico here to take up on that, but not before. Yes,
you're skipping Hollywood.
We are, but not before. The reason they do so is they get themselves thrown out of Hollywood, which is a great scene because you've got Phil Hartman in it.
Young Phil Hartman.
Yep, for a quick second.
Wow.
Alive Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
And you had John Lovitz in there playing one of the company men as well.
John Lovitz just plays John Lovitz in everything. That's all he plays.
Hey, listen.
He's like,
if you can get by, that's the easiest way to do it.
He treaded the way
being you.
He treaded the way for Ryan Reynolds. Because Ryan Reynolds just plays Ryan Reynolds in everything. John just plays, and it was funny because I cycle through Seinfeld, and he has a great bit in Seinfeld where he plays a cancer patient, but doesn't really actually have cancer. It's the whole toupee episode. Yeah.
Right. I remember that episode. Right.
Yeah.
Wasn't like he's keeping the secret from Jerry.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Getting off topic again. We're good at this today.
Yeah, I know. It's all right. This movie, it was fun.
It was a good time.
Yeah. So we're going back to Hollywood. Yes.
So they're in Hollywood. We get to see them try and negotiate for their next movie. They get thrown out of Hollywood, and most disgracefully, you living in the studio manor? Hey,
not anymore.
Get them out of the manor. Phil Hartman picks up the phone. The Amigos, they're out of the manor. Yeah. What clothes are you wearing? Those studio clothes? Oh yeah, they were gifts when we were on the set of one of our other films. Oh, really great. We're going to take those back too.
Except
Wardrobe.
for Chevy Chase's hat.
Wardrobe. Oh, and you got the hat, their knickers, and the shoes and the socks. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
You noticed that I never picked up on that Ned Niederlander is wearing a kilt.
I think so. I can't tell.
It looked like a kilt.
It looked like a kilt, but I couldn't tell from up close because they cut him at the knees.
Do you think maybe he had the old school like baggy pants where they get like really wide at the top and come down at the bottom?
Maybe it looked something Irish or Scottish.
Could have been. It was definitely in like a tartan potentially.
I feel like they fit it because isn't he a redhead? He's a redhead, kind of. No, not okay. He has a little red tone in his hair.
I like that we both hit that same note.
I know. A little brownish red tone in his hair. That's what I was thinking.
For Little Ned Needlelander?
Yes. I want to point out something too. Up until this point, I've liked the fact that they have actual sets and not studio sets where they're in a studio and it's CGI'd or whatever. Obviously, CGI didn't exist back then, or if it did, it was very...
We did have a singing horse and a singing turtle.
Three singing horses.
And a singing turtle.
But I liked that they shot a lot of it in Arizona and Los Angeles, but I loved how the sets looked in the Hollywood scene too, like the grand office with all the Art Deco in behind. Their suits looked really nice too. It reminded me of classic Hollywood.
Well, I'm so glad you said that because one of the cool trivia bits I read for this was when they actually filmed the silent film that Carmen sees that we just discussed a couple minutes ago. They actually filmed that on one of the oldest lots at the studio.
Oh, that's cool.
Specifically to like get him in the mindset. And I love that. I think that's a great touch.
They look weird to me in the silent film, but you pointed out because they have like black lipstick.
Because they that film back then hated warm tones. So to pop them out, they put on the red lipstick and the white face, and then and then they pop on screen.
So when they get thrown out of Hollywood, they get lettered right away.
Yes, literally like
this rolls right up as like
it's like
Three
something
Amigos?
will come our way. Telegram, Three Amigos.
Yep. Oh, that's pretty good. And then they are asked to go save this little town in Mexico, and they think it's a movie.
Yes, because it says the telegram got edited. It says show instead of
showdown or something. Yeah.
And so they think this is great. Well, screw the studio. We don't need him. We are the Three Amigos. And I had to get it in at least once. I didn't expect you to.
You did that last night too.
I did, and the best part was because I knew you hadn't seen the movie yet.
I don't know what it is.
I know, so I did it.
Well, yeah, I'm surprised I haven't seen this, but obviously I've seen a couple Chevy Chase films. I don't think I've seen Minnie Martin short
Father
films.
of the Bride.
Oh wow, yeah, he was in Father of the Bride as well. Yeah, I watched Father of the Bride a lot, so that's like my first introduction to Steve Martin. Plus, there was a movie based off a book he wrote called Shop Girl that I've seen and read. But what was the other movie you were recommending on the way in?
Ooh, Sergeant Bilko.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
That was also with Phil Hartman. Excellent.
And the only Chevy Chase films I've seen are like, obviously National Lampoons, Christmas Vacation, Vegas Vacation, all that stuff.
I've never been a huge Chevy Chase fan. I've never really understood the fascination and the draw. And like the Lampoon movies are, get ready for the hate, fine. Like
they're fun to put on during, obviously Christmas Vacation during Christmas. Just put it on while you're making cookies. Or, obviously the Vegas one we had to watch because when we moved to Vegas and stuff.
Right.
I'm seeing with you on that, but you liked him in Community though.
That is true, although he did cause his own fair share of problems on the Community set. Which
is interesting because obviously from what I'm told, like he's not friendly. He's not a friendly individual.
He's got some attitude about him, is my understanding. And he's done his own things, but when
we get to it, there's a scene that I went like, oh, that's Chevy Chase in real life.
I know you said that, but I don't remember.
So they show up at the town. They think they're being celebrated, right? Carmen meets them in El Diablo.
No, you're jumping ahead.
Oh, okay. Go
You're missing some of the best parts. You're skipping over your note. Definitely says Buttercup. Because
no, I said they're meeting him in El Diablo.
Well, yeah, they're going to meet him, but they don't meet him there as of yet. First, the German has to enter.
Right.
Hold on. A German enters a bar.
Any 80s film has to have an evil German in it, right?
Mm-hmm. Then the same guy that was trying to accost, we'll say, young Miss Carmen, tells the German aviator, because he's dressed, got the leather aviation coat on and the leather aviator caps with the goggles. And when he says to him, is something about him having a pretty little gun. So of course he turns around and just straight up murks this guy after, a couple seconds of trying to get some information figured out. This guy won't leave him alone. German murks him and says, my friends are coming and they're not nearly as kind-hearted as I am. And he's got this shiny little revolver with some pearl handles. And he leaves and
Right, it sets it
almost-
up that
yes.
the Three Amigos, the other three white guys who show up at this bar are his friends, not to
Yes.
mess with them. So they're all terrified of them when they walk in.
Which is great because they have no idea that they're probably in a great deal of danger and proceed to just act like absolute lunatics in front of all these people.
Right, Buttercup.
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, you know, why is everybody here so quiet? I think they're just nervous. I mean, we're in the movies. That's Steve Martin's whole Lucky Day's whole approach to this, and so they decide to loosen things up by asking Dusty to go play the piano and end up doing another musical number, which is My Little Buttercup has the sweetest smile.
Do you know the whole coordination?
I don't know the whole coordination, but you better believe I know the whole song.
I'm curious to know, and I should have looked this up before I left, but I'm curious to know at the time of filming this, out of the three of them, who was the bigger star? I would assume it's Chevy Chase.
It's 1986. It would have been either Steve Martin or Chevy Chase, not Martin Short. I believe I read that this was actually Martin Short's first feature film.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely not him. It was interesting. I was reading something else, but I think it was in some capacity, they put Chevy Chase first in the title for like one part. And I think it was to like maybe placate some ego. And then Steve Martin got put first on like everything else. So I'm going to say Steve Martin.
Okay.
Besides, I would 9 times out of 10 rather watch Steve Martin than
That's
Chevy
what I was
Chase.
going to say. Watching this entire film, I mean, they're all three of them are very good, but he to me is like the shining star out of the three of them. With his comedic reactions and timing
With
and
his
body
perfect Steve
language
Martinisms.
and his impressions and stuff. Yes. Yeah.
Fun fact, he actually picked up a permanent injury on this set. I bet
When
you
he got
didn't know.
shot?
No, but it does involve the prop firearms used in the set. So he actually, all of the firearms going off all of the time, because there's a lot of times whether it's a gunfight or Bandito's celebrating, there's lots of gunfire going off.
Yeah.
And I guess he actually developed tinnitus because he didn't have any
ear protection.
I mean, this was 1986 where ear protection was probably a little bit less looked at.
A little
for
looser with the
firearms.
rules. Yeah.
So he developed tinnitus, and that sucks. And I don't envy him in that instance.
I assume he also practiced his gun move where I'm
The spin?
spinning and stuff.
Oh, I'm sure they all practice them to some extent. Man, this is great. You're leading me right in all these great points. But like the lasso, Steve Martin actually learned how to do the lasso when he was a kid when he worked at Disney. So he used to work at Disney. Oh, I can't remember if it was Land or World.
Probably World.
Probably World. And yeah, so he actually had to learn, like that was like one of the things he did. So he learned how to do the lasso tricks that he actually does. He's actually doing them. It's not like a prop. Well, it is a prop lasso, but technically anything on set's a prop. But
Interesting. That's cool.
it's just a fun little cowboy fact.
And their costumes, man, that must have been uncomfortable.
That he likes Pecos Bill. Why? All that dark polyester in the hot Arizona sun.
Yes, and all the shimmy stuff all over the gems
the sequins.
and stuff. Yes,
The sequins.
and that hat looked like it weighed a million pounds. Yes.
Liberace's sombrero.
Yeah, but I was telling you, like, we live in the desert. Why don't we wear sombreros more often? It would make most sense.
You get the large like sun hats.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
But I want
want
like a sombrero with the little flip on the front, like where it kind of curves up.
You can have my turn.
Okay.
I don't need that much hat.
I would totally bedazzle it.
You would Three Amigos it?
I don't know why I did this in front of my face, but I would totally bedazzle it.
I'm glad you did it 2 more. Immediately followed it up by doing it 2 more times. I don't know why I did this. Let me do it. There you go. You did it a 3rd time.
Out of the 3 of them, I would say Martin Short's costume is my favorite with the crosses.
Oh, with the little like.
They're like in
the
detailed,
little Pecos stars. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Martin fan. I love the. I think he had the best hat,
With
especially because
the-
he's Lucky Day, so he had the horseshoes.
Yeah. We're getting off topic again. Sorry.
We are, but there's so many fun components to this movie to talk about.
Like mail balls?
Like, we're not at mail balls. Actually, we are about at mail
'cause
balls
they see
because
the
he sings
plane
My
when
Little
they-
Buttercup.
Yes.
Yeah. And then as soon as I step outside, it's a Tubman 601. Why? I flew one of those in Little Nettie Nederlanders. I forgot what the movie was. But yeah, it's a mail plane. How can you tell it's a mail plane? Come on.
The balls.
You can tell from the little balls. Get it? It's not like a mail delivery plane, internet. It's a mail plane.
Well, it identifies
In fairness,
as a mail.
In fairness, it could be a they them plane. I didn't ask.
Yeah, that's true. I'm all Oh, they canceled today. Okay.
So they get out of the bar. They watch the Tubman go over. They make the mail plane joke. And this is where the three amigos finally meet the lovely Miss Carmen to take them back to San Poco.
Oh, right. San Poco.
Yep. And when they arrive at her village, and it's great because it's just a little village set up in the middle of nowhere. Here's my next note, which says they arrive at her village. Nadia, CGI ruined movies.
That's
direct quote. That is almost direct quote.
Yes.
I paraphrased a little.
Yes. Since we're going back and watching older movies for the show and stuff, I am realizing that there is a time and place for CGI. Don't get me wrong, explosions and stuff like that. But I think CGI ruined movies.
It did. Well, I mean,
I think there's too much dependence on CGI lately.
Yes.
In the last 10, 15 years.
And I think you can really feel the difference. There's a difference in just like the general substance of the movie. That's why things like the Dungeons and Dragons movie was so good with their real sets and their props and their costuming.
Well, with this movie, it held my attention. I didn't have to be on my phone. I didn't have to look up things and stuff. It held my attention. Its editing wasn't like super fast where we're going, a couple seconds per frame and you're in a different, where it's just long shots or wide shots and stuff. And it's just more focused on the story and the comedy of the movie rather than the effects, which I liked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, CGI ruined movies.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get that tattooed. CGI movies.
So then they have their first night in town. They kind of get to meet the village.
They have a meal together, and then I was just the biggest sigh watching Chevy Chase try to eat a taco and all the and everything. And I go, my guy, I have been there. I have been there.
Well, and I love when Chevy Chase, probably his best line in the movie, which is, do you guys have anything besides Mexican food?
That's like when I went over to the Middle East. And if I would have said, like, do you have anything else but shawarma? Like,
but you were telling me, now we're in real talk, that when you were in the Middle East, it was everybody's like, oh, we can get American food because the American cousin's here. My
cousin utilized me as a pinpoint of like ordering. And mind you, at that time, I was 16. Mm-hmm. We didn't have DoorDash, right? Or Uber Eats or something like that. But in the Middle East, like McDonald's, KFC and stuff, they actually did deliver. They did deliver. So my cousins used it as a point of, hey, American cousins here.
Yeah, we want to make her feel at home.
Where I'm like, forget this. I would like the falafel, the hummus, the shawarma, please.
So you're saying you're not in Mexico asking if they have anything besides Mexican food?
I mean, I wouldn't eat Taco Bell in Mexico. I would eat Mexican food.
Taco Bell's not Mexican food.
I know it's not.
Taco Bell.
I know it is. Taco Bell is its own genre of food.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Exactly.
But watching him watch that, I was like, man, I've been there. I've been there where I'm like so hungry. Got some tacos. Put my little sauce, little onions and cilantro. Fold a little taco and eat it, and then just bottom falls right out. Yep. I've been there.
Yep. And then at that point, it just becomes a metaphor for your life. Really.
Yeah, that's true. Everything falls out the bottom.
Yep. But so the Migos, the bandits show up at the village the following morning. Right?
One does, I believe.
Three.
Oh, three does. Right. Because they were racing down the mountainside.
Those sons of motherless goats?
Yes, sons of motherless goats. Which I don't understand as an insult. Why would you insult somebody that they're the son of a motherless goat, if you break it down?
What? The son of a motherless goat would be I don't know. I was hoping you had something. I think it just sounds it's just generally insulting. Like, if you were the daughter of a female dog, they'd be saying something, pardon me. They'd be saying something else, but they're calling them the son of a motherless goat. I think it just rolls off the tongue good.
Yeah, it's so wacky that it throws people off. Like, I think that's an insult.
I think we should just start bringing that back. I'm going to start yelling at people on the highway.
Son of a motherless goat.
Son of a motherless goat.
Man, there's a generation that doesn't even know what that means.
A son of a motherless goat?
Like, they've never seen the movie or anything. Gen Zs and stuff, like people who haven't seen these movies. Like, we're on the cusp. I mean, I know it was a movie came out when you were born, but we had parents who enjoyed these movies, so we would watch these movies as kids. There's now a generation of people who will never see these movies, who don't know what you're talking about.
That's why you buy physical media, people.
Yeah, buy physical media, yeah.
Make
stores for them cheaper too, by the way.
Right?
Yes, so they end up defeating
Well, they weird him out is really what they do. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say they beat him. They end up just, doing their spiel because they think it's one of their shows. The son of Motherless Goat and the other insults, and they just ride around shooting blanks while riding in circles around the bandits who take off.
That camera point.
The camera point
It's
is
like the first time you ever seen a selfie.
I love the kid, like, because they're all doing like ridiculous things, and it's such an purposefully unflattering angle. But the best is at the end when you have Ned, he's Martin Short. He's just tossing the gun from hand to hand.
Do not recommend the gun safety on this film.
yeah, there is a lot of mismanaged gun safety in this film. That is for sure. I turned my brain off to all of that after I watched Chevy Chase misholster like 3 times.
And so these banditos go back to their leader,
El Guapo,
and say, "Hey, we've got 3 guys who,
Yeah, there's some weirdos at the village that ran us off. I think you're going to take a look at this guaps."
And we're introduced to Jefe as well.
Jefe is he is the henchman that every villain needs.
Well, we were in a discussion until we looked it up because...
No, we were not in discussion.
Okay.
You were in discussion.
Usually during this...
I was in confidence.
These times when movie making and past, usually used to use white guys and just like scuff them up to be of Mexican descent or Asian descent. Like it's a whole thing in cinema history, right? So I originally thought Jefe was just like a white guy that just like smeared a bunch of stuff and a really bad wig. Turns out he's Cuban American.
First off, it's not a really bad wig. Where do you think they got the inspiration for Captain Jack Sparrow?
That's true. That's pretty close to it.
He looks very Captain Jack Sparrow
with that long, really bad wig. Mm-hmm. His wig is the only wig in this entire movie that I went, that's definitely a wig.
I can't wait till we find out it was actually his hair.
If it was, I'll be very surprised. But watching the movie, it's like, okay, that has to be her hair. That's a wig, and maybe that's a wig. That's definitely a wig. That was definitely a wig.
But Jefe is
a comedic relief.
He is the henchman that every villain needs. The real henchman in life, the best friend.
He's the best friend. He's just like, we're gonna celebrate your birthday. Yeah. I got you a bunch of
Guapo. Are you really? Come on. Are you mad at me?
Piñatas.
Or are you mad at me because I'm here and you're mad about something else? Yeah, Jefe, because that's how he talks. Yeah, Jefe, he's here for you, Guapo.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh God, El Jefe, what a real one. Anyway. So he gets reported to at El Guapo's. They do that whole thing. So he decides that they're gonna end up going out there to see what these weirdos are. And that is when they roll up the next day after a night of celebration.
Right.
With the village, with the Three
Amigos. Would you like
amigos.
to kiss me on the veranda?
Yes. That was another good Chevy Chase. Would you like to kiss me? Yes. Like it was wasn't an offer. It was just a general question.
Yeah.
And so I'm just gonna sit here and keep playing my guitar.
We could go for a walk. You could kiss me on the veranda. I don't know where that. I don't know what that is, but sure.
So they all get a little lucky day. Seems like they have themselves a little bit of over drinking, and then the next day, El Guapo's back. I shouldn't say he's back. El Guapo is at the village with 50 of his men, and they're going, "What? We have to do a second show."
And they get started similar to what they did with the other guys, and told them like, "You're supposed to say you will die like dogs.
Yeah, tell us we will die like dogs.
Do it.
You will die
like dogs.
We will not die like dogs. What was it? We will not die like dogs, but we will fight like lions."
That's so stupid.
No, it's perfect.
And they do the camera.
This is my next D&D character, just so you know.
Again, they're all like, until one of them gets shot for real.
Yes, yeah. So they start riding around the bandits again. Steve Martin gets shot, and that was the best part. This is when they figure out that is real. He's like, whoa, wait a minute. What is this? Why is there blood on my hand? And they charges Jefe and sees that.
It's like, give me your.
It's like, oh, real bullets. Great, guys. You guys see this? Real bullets. Well, I am keeping this. Somebody's in trouble, and he looks at it and realizes he's strapped with real bullets. And hey, it's actually the fight time. And then they apologize because they're actors and not fighters. And El Guapo kindly says that he does not kill weeping women. And they say thank you and leave.
Yeah. pissing off the whole entire town.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so LG, the big G, the Guaps himself, has his banditos burn down the town, explode the church, and
Kidnap Carmen.
And kidnap Carmen, most importantly.
And so the next scene is when I go, that's Chevy Chase in real life. It's when they come back to the village after El Guapo has left.
Mhm.
And they're like, can we have our stuff? and Carmen's parents are like, they took everything. And Chevy Chase goes, I had these like pearl cufflinks. And I go, that's Chevy Chase in real life right there.
Well, they're small. They might have missed him. You don't know.
Yeah. So dishonor on them, dishonor on their family, dishonor
on their horses.
Yes.
So at that point, they realize that they are failures. They feel defeated yet again. And Lucky and Dusty are ready to pack it up, while the newest person to film, Martin Short as Ned Niederlander, getting a real serious look in his eye, starts loading up that cylinder of his 6-shooter. He's going to put an iron on his hip, and he's decided,
draws a line in the sand.
Yeah, we got nothing to do. We have nothing to do back in Hollywood, guys. We're out. Like, we could be the Three Amigos here. And he rallies the troops. Are we men or mice?
Mice.
Well, Chevy Chase is probably a mouse in that movie. Yeah, but he decides man at the very end.
Yes. Yeah. So they come up with a plan for them to go rescue Carmen at El Guapo's hideout. But before that, they have to go on a journey to like.
Well, they have to go find El Guapo. So they have to travel 3 days east, which is great.
Find the invisible source.
Yeah, they're camping. They're camping on the best set ever. They're discussing how they're going to find El Guapos. They're all sitting. I love it. They're all sitting around the campfire. First, we must travel 3 days east, and then they all point in a different direction.
By the way, that set was really cool, even though it was a fake set.
It was a good old fake. Like it had fun because it was good bad.
Yes. It was pretty cool, and they had all the animals show up, and the horses and the turtle we don't know if it was real or not.
Turtle was not real.
I think you know what, folks?
Let us know in the comments down below.
Exactly. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and let me know that I'm right, that turtle was
the turtle
real.
was never real. That's why that one rock is so much bigger.
I think there was a switch in and out, because at the first time it like moved its leg and it was moving its head.
It only ever moves its head. When it's are you arguing that when it sang?
When it sang, it was a puppet with a little jaw.
I promise she's sober. It just doesn't seem like it.
I'm telling you, that turtle was somewhere. It
out
was
there.
Real. Yes.
Yeah, it was fake.
Yeah, and then they had a coyote show up and a mountain lion, and we both live in the desert. We're like, we would not be falling to sleep next to these animals.
Well, it was the I guess the coyote in particular was the one that was wild animals being wild animals, the least trained or the least cooperative, I guess is the word I was looking for there. I guess that was that was one of the things I was reading. So everything else on the set was live. We've been arguing about whether or not the turtle was real, fake, or mixture thereof.
What did the internet say? Is it real or live?
Well, it's interesting because when I looked it up, what it actually says is everybody grabs the exact same quote where they talk about having real animals on set, but then they specifically then goes to the person talking about it is the person who voices the turtle when it sings. So that goes to him talking about being the singing voice of the turtle. So they talk about real animals, then they talk about him voicing the singing turtle.
So you don't get a definite answer.
So you don't actually really get a definite answer. It's Amigo's turtle.
Amigo's turtle?
It's the version of Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
The turtle is both real and a prop at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's some scenes that it's real, some scenes that it's a prop.
You're a Schrodinger's turtle. I don't know what that means.
So they have to go on this quest.
Well, so they're traveling there. So they got to travel there 3 days east. And so they have to go find the singing bush, right? Well, and I love the part
Gave me PTSD. It reminded me of those stupid goats from Love and Thunder.
No, don't say that. I bet you don't even know. You don't even know who the voice of the singing bush was.
Well, who was it?
You got a friend in me.
Really?
Yep, Randy Newman, who was actually, I believe was he a producer on the movie? Or he might actually, I think he was a writer on the movie. That's what it was. But yeah, that was his little join in the film. He was the voice of the singing bush.
Singing bush, yes.
Who wouldn't answer them. And then of course, it must be the singing bush.
Well, yes, it's singing. It must be the singing bush.
It wasn't singing very well. Sorry, Randy. But at the time, it wasn't singing as greatest.
Yes.
But it's a Bush. It can be off key. Never got proper training. But
they have to shoot. They have to say some.
they have to say a magic phrase, then fire around in the air.
I'm curious to know if those magic phrases were ad-libbed.
So it's interesting you should say that again, because I was reading up on all this stuff before we got in here. Some of it was definitely ad-libbed. Especially I won't even do the Steve Martin one because it's like Farley, 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 and then it is the last name of his character from a different movie. Gosh, I'm looking for it right now. But he specifically did it because people always have a problem saying that character's last name.
Oh.
So he specifically made the last word in the character's name from the Dr. Michael Herfernifer from The Man with Two Brains.
Oh, that's a cool little
So he goes,
Easter
Farley,
egg.
Farley, 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 Herfernifer. However you're supposed to say it. He was trying to correct people. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me want to go see that movie now. Well, not go see it, but rent it or at least find it.
Go find it somewhere.
Yes.
So they sing Bush, they say, it's great. So, Martin Short goes first and fires into the air, and Steve Martin does his, and Lucky Day fires into the air, and then you get to Chevy Chase, who just kind of does a Ash from Evil Dead and kind of half-asses it, and just kind of fires his gun off into the side. And the best special effects of that entire movie is when the invisible swordsman falls dead from being shot by Chevy Chase because he didn't shoot in the air. He shot horizontally and actually shot the invisible swordsman. And it's great because he falls like, obviously you don't see anybody, he's invisible, but they have it set up where the ground just there's like an indent of a person that just hit the ground hard. And then the best part is, you shot the invisible swordsman. Is he dead? And then Martin Short picks up his hand and then drops it, and you get the dust cloud, and the dust gets a little bit lower. This scene overall makes the least amount of sense to be in this movie. My understanding is John Landis actually is quoted as saying the studio cut up the heck out of this movie.
Oh.
There's a lot of things. There may have been more of that in there, but it really feels like its own kind of lone piece to me. The
interesting.
Lone supernatural aspect.
All right.
Of Three Amigos. But so they kill the Invisible Horseman or the Invisible Swordsman. They have no idea how they're going to get there.
And the plane
flies.
And
wouldn't you know it, the plane flies right over them, leading them to El Guapo's Rancho.
Them plane.
Hey, I don't want to assume. So where are we at here?
We're at El Guapo's
We're showing
40th
up at El
birthday.
Guapo's. It is
his 40th birthday.
Mm-hmm. And wouldn't you know it, El Jefe has a plethora for him. Plethora of.
What did you say? Any guy your age, the only reason they know that word?
Yes, a lot of people in my age bracket, the only reason they ever learned the word plethora was because they saw the movie Three Amigos. Because the reality of the situation is, you wouldn't want someone using the word plethora unless they actually knew what it meant.
Yes, like El Jefe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said El Jefe.
It's like a direct quote from Guapo, but yes. El Jefe.
Yes, who bought a plethora.
A plethora of it was the piñatas.
Piñatas.
Yes. Struggling to come with piñatas.
Yes. Which was interesting because I thought this movie would go towards explosive piñatas. Like, oh, I have a big celebration for you. No, they're actually just candy-filled piñatas. Yeah. For his birthday.
Well, and it's great because they set up the whole plaza of his little courtyard with all the decorations, which allows the amigos to infiltrate and, dare I say, swing into action
and get captured.
They all come swinging in. Actually, the only one that gets
captured is Lucky Day, Steve Martin, who gets captured into a dungeon type of scenario.
Ned Niederlander swung. Didn't he swing first? And then he got stuck in the. No, 1 second. He got stuck in the main piñata.
The spurs on his boots got stuck in one of the piñatas, so he was holding on. And then I think Chevy Chase just ended up in a closet.
Into a closet. Yeah, into a wardrobe that slammed shut behind him.
Carmen was being held captive. Yes. And then Steve Martin's character in the dungeon, that was pretty funny. Where he's trying.
That is one of my most quoted lines.
Steve Martin is so good at body language and comedic timing.
Gotta make it.
Yes.
Gotta make it.
Because from my point of view, it looked like he was actually really struggling. But obviously, it's a movie. So
I'm sure they put a little bit of weight on there. Come on, you want to give him something to fight
struggle,
against.
but not the point. But the whole pull back and stuff. I'm like, holy cow. Really good at comedic timing.
Yeah. I mean, he is great with timing, physicality, and musically.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's true.
I'm surprised he could show off any banjo playing. Although you do end up with Chevy Chase playing flamenco. So anyways, so they go swing into action. They all get captured or end up in the different parts of El Guapo's compound for his birthday, where thank goodness that in the middle of the desert, wouldn't you know it, El Jefe just being the number one henchcoon, got the rest of the guys to ship in. They got El Guapo a gift for his 33rd birthday. And he opens up and it is
A sweater.
Which the only thing to actually make the sweater better than giving somebody a sweater in the desert. I mean, it does get cold out here, people. But was that El Guapo, to show how much he loved, how much he loves his men, immediately proceeds to wear it crossed around
like
his
a
neck.
cape.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that little touch. They could have just left it on the table, never gone back to the sweater as a throwaway joke. No, he proceeds to wear the sweater for most of the rest of the movie.
That's interesting to me that they picked a sweater instead of a bottle of alcohol or something.
Well, the whole point is it's such an odd gift to have
an
given
odd
him.
gift, but maybe a gift he really needs.
But it's also
at night.
it's also supposed to be like a gift that like a friend or a family member would have given.
Yeah.
And that was actually, I believe that was one of Steve Martin's favorite jokes in the whole film was when they gave him a sweater. Oh man. So,
that also goes to the Chevy, what we were talking earlier when Chevy Chase ends up throwing on one of the Banditos costumes.
Oh yeah, he puts on
the sombrero and the poncho, and then
that was a word I can come up with.
is in the group of them as El Guapo is like hey, we did this together. We did this together with all his buddies. And so it comes to Chevy Chase.
What do you go with? Like Juan or Pablo? And
I think they
we raped the horses
and we rode the women. I was like, how long can this bit go for?
I just love that he's like, well, it's great though, because El Guapo's sitting there trying to like remember and come up with like, what did we do together? Like, I don't remember that. I don't remember. And then eventually,
Purge.
Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's another one of those gringos.
Yeah.
And so they go to tie him up with Steve Martin, and they say, was it just white guys falling out of the sky?
And then Ned falls.
And of course, Ned at that point loses grip strength, falls from the sky and lands on the table in front of the Germans, getting ready to throw them all in prison until our German flying the Tubman goes, wait, I know who that is. That is little Neddy Niederlander. I've watched all of his films growing up. They were wunderbar. And do you like that one?
Yes,
I really went for it on that.
You did. You did.
But that is one of my...
You sounded like in Super Troopers, the German or Swedish couple.
Oh, because I was really going very too fast.
The swingers.
Yeah.
Yes. That's who you remind me of.
But that is literally one of my favorite scenes from the whole movie, because you get to listen to Martin Short's character, Ned Niederlander, talk about the different movies he's been in the entire film. Oh, well, and little Neddy did this or little Ned did that. And so the German, you end up finding out, has been this huge fan of Ned his whole life. He's seen every film he was in, even when he was a child star. And he learned the art of the quick draw from Ned Niederlander. And this is what made it one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. And maybe could even be what led to my fascination with potential pew-pews in the future as an adult. But I love when the German's like, oh, I loved all the movies. I wanted to learn the quick draw. And then I learned about movie magic and camera trick photography. And then just watch Martin Short. I never used trick photography. I'm like, yes. Oh, I love that. I just love the look of disdain on his face. And I never used trick photography. I'm like, yeah, it was just great. And then they get themselves a nice little showdown.
Or the bigger gun that barely fits in his holster.
I love that he's the physical comedy of just the gun is so heavy you can't get the tip off the ground.
And it's like falling around.
Oh yeah, old school physical comedy.
Well, you mentioned too, if this was an actual duel in real life,
Hefe switched him out guns because he said, you want a gun, you want to die like a man. So I want to give him a big gun.
He'd be SOL because the whole time he's been training with a different gun for quick draw, and now he's got this big ass gun. Yeah.
That would have been the end of him in real life, but luckily it's the movie, and Ned fortunately puts the evil German.
Yes, always an evil German right now. Yes.
It's the evil German, not just any German, evil Germans in the ground, the one, and then it proceeds to, kind of turns into a little bit of a not a gunfight, but it turns into a little bit of a holdup.
Yeah, starts standoff, able to get the other guys out. Carmen has the horses, and they race off to go to the town. Which is interesting because I thought the movie would have ended there. Like they would have maybe blown up the compound and then like, okay, they ride out into the sunset, movie's done. No, there was still like another 20, 30 minutes of this movie because we had to go back to Carmen's town because not El Jefe.
El Guapo. Well, El Jefe means the boss.
Yeah.
Which is why I keep doing that too. I keep wanting to say El Jefe when I mean El Guapo.
El Guapo is heading there, obviously to punish the town because the Amigos, one up them. And they decided to take the plane.
Well, hold on. Before they take the plane, I do want to point out another good bit of just group comedic timing on that one, which is when they defeat the German in the duel and they hold El Guapo hostage and then they go to make their escape. Martin Short, you get lucky. He's going, Dusty, get your gun on. Get your gun on El Guapo. And he reaches into the guy's pants who's got his gun sticking in his belt and he puts it on Guapo. And then everybody throw down your guns. No, not you, Dusty.
He's like, oh, sorry.
He literally goes, sorry, and just like daintily picks up his revolver.
That's true.
Or the way they frequently sneak through this movie where it's like a Dancy Prance thing.
Yes, they're always like this. Like it's a wave.
Well, because it was 1916. It would have been a lot of stage dancing and stuff.
That's true.
That's why they're the singing and the dancing. That's where that all comes in. But yes, so that does
know how to
fly they then plane.
Not very well, but well enough.
Well enough. And in fact, going back and watching that as an adult and knowing more now than I did then, watching the stunt pilot, how low he was flying to the ground, and it wasn't flying straight, it's tilting and dipping and curling and
getting so close to the ground.
Oh, and I know that planes are meant to land, obviously, wheels on the bottom, but it was really interesting to see because that was some heck of flying skill there.
Yeah, some people don't get enough credit.
No, true that, double true.
Yeah. So they get back to the town.
Mm-hmm.
And just in time as El Guapo.
Well, just before El Guapo. And so they show up in the plane with all four. They have to rally the town.
Which made no sense in timing because they all decided to come up with a plan.
Well, no, it does make sense because first Steve Martin has to give his speech on how we all have our own El Guapo we must face in our lives. For some, maybe El Guapo is that homework we didn't work on yet. For some, it's, for us, actually, it's an actual El Guapo. And so they're trying to figure out what they do best. And what can we do best in this town? So great. Sewing. So what do? They
sew a bunch of costumes.
Yep.
That are identical to, not as elaborate, but from far away, they look very close to the Three Amigos costumes.
Well, it's really interesting. Yeah, and it is really interesting because you get to see them more up close.
At the end.
Yeah.
But they're not they're not bedazzled. They all have the same kind of design to them.
Sure.
But from far away, you wouldn't be able to tell. But the cool thing is
that during the scene where they're dressed up, they all actually have the real
The three
costumes.
of them actually doing it. Yes.
So they prepare for El Guapo. They all dress up as amigos and the whole town hides and everybody pops up and takes their shots and the day is won. But it
was a nice trick.
And also, let us not forget that this plan was founded from the most important place possible. Obviously, their movie's Amigos, Amigos, Amigos. Do you think it'll work? It has to.
It has to work. It was a nice trick.
Yes,
no, it was pretty
but I do
cool.
love that part where Guapo, at the end,
Guapo's
he's laying on another person, he's dying. Oh, that was a good trick.
Come here,
closer, come closer.
I have to
and
tell
then he
you
shoots
something.
Steve Martin in the foot. Ha! That was a good trick too. Then he just passes out dead. And that from there really is kind of the end of the movie. I mean,
they get to ride off into the sunset.
Yep, you get to wrap it up. Everybody gets their happy ending. Ned Niederlander. Ooh, here's a great one. Fun trivia. The spicy senorita that comes out to give Ned a kiss was actually, I believe it was that year's 1986. I think it was June's Playboy Bunny.
Oh, go Ned!
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
not bad for your first movie there, Mr. Short.
Yeah.
So they
and there was never a sequel to this, right?
No,
I'm surprised.
I'm not. No, I love this movie. I just don't. But what? I mean, really, what sequel? Let's see what we're gonna make out of this.
I don't know. What was the other movie that I talked about that I hadn't seen? I was like, is it something like is it City Slickers or something?
Yeah, this is not like City Slickers. At all.
Okay. But that has a sequel, I believe. Or
Yes.
3 of them.
City Slickers, there's a couple of them.
Okay. All right. I wonder if I would like that.
Billy Crystal.
I also have to see Tombstone.
You got a lot of. We're gonna see Tombstone. We're gonna do maybe we should do a cowboy riff.
Maybe
here
2024 is just movies Nadia's never seen, and we just do those.
I think we just start with a cowboy riff. We'll do like Silverado. We can do Tombstone. We can do Deadwood.
Right.
that's not a
Well,
movie, that's a
Deadwood's
show,
a
but-
series, though. Yeah, there was a movie in it. But, I enjoyed this movie.
Okay.
It was fun.
Out of 10 sombreros, how many would you give it?
I would give it
How many? I guess how many amigos would you give it out of 5?
out of 5.
Out of 5 amigos, I know you prefer a 5 scale.
I would say a 4, solid 4.
Solid 4. All right, fair enough.
It's like, would I reach to watch it again? No, but if it was just something in the background playing,
It sits in
I
that
would
perfect
totally put
vicinity
it on,
of
like while I'm
something in
sewing
the
or doing
background.
something. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like if I'm doing crafts and I'm like, oh, let me put a movie on I've seen and it was an option, I would do that.
And
Yeah.
when I say it's a background movie, I mean that with love, not
Yeah,
with,
no, it's one of those movies that I'm surprised I didn't catch, watching TNT or US Network at night, with my dad, and then like it not showing
Well,
up.
as being younger, I remember this being on Comedy Central.
Probably
like,
that's why.
nonstop,
I was
which
not
is
allowed to watch
exactly
Comedy
why.
Central, so that's probably why.
I'm shocked by this revelation. You know, what was another funny scene we didn't talk about? When it was somewhere on their quest to find El Guapo, and they're in the hot, barren desert riding their horses, and Steve Martin pulls out his canteen and just gets that last little drip of water out. And then Martin Short opens it, and God
Sand
bless his
in his
acting.
mouth.
Yeah, it's just a whole canteen full of sand that empties into his mouth. And they pull over to Chevy Chase, who opens up his canteen, and it's just like practically overflowing. Like, he's just pouring out, like washing his face off, gargling it, and spitting it out.
and then throws it in the ground and
then
more
he's
water's
done.
flowing out.
Yeah. And they're all just looking.
And then he's putting lip balm and
Yeah.
he's like, oh,
You
you
guys
guys,
want some
want
lip
lip balm?
Maybe Chevy Chase did better in this movie than I gave him credit for. But yeah, that was pretty good.
What
Yeah,
about
no,
you? Out of 5.
I mean, I grew up with this movie, so it's gonna have a soft spot in my heart. Out of 5, I'm gonna go 4.
Okay,
I'm gonna join
so we're
you.
both
I'm
a
gonna
solid
join you
4.
on the 4. Maybe I go with a 4.25, something like that. I know
You always
I'm
do
getting,
like your point.
Yeah, well, I know you like the 5 scale. I like the 10 scale. That for me, give me like an 8.5.
Okay.
I do give it 8.5.
Yeah, and on 10 scale, it would be an 8 for me.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. That being said, make sure to
Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, the Three Amigos. Be our third amigo and do all those things, and give us a comment and let me know how terrible my singing is and how great or terrible my accents are. And yeah,
we'll catch you guys later. Right?
Adios.
Adios, amigos.
Adios, amigos.